So we are today going downtown to do our FX3 versus iPhone footage video. So we're going to be testing out the comparison. We're going to be using the Cinema P3 app just to get more of the settings kind of similar to the FX3. The lighting is a little gray today, not as sunny, so it's not going to be as beautifully colorful as I would have liked it to be. But while we're down there, we're also going to make sure that we get tons and tons of other content for a bunch of other shorts that we're going to make, kind of multitasking and trying our best to be efficient, because once we're done with the shoot, we got to return the FX3, so we've got a bit of a time limit. So we're going to go down there, we're going to get the shots, and see you there. As far as what goes on in prepping a YouTube video or getting ready to make some YouTube videos, there's actually a lot more than you would think. So, of course, the first thing that you gotta do is, form the idea. What's the idea? Is it an idea that is valuable? Is it something that's good? And even if it's not good, if it's something you really, really want to do, go with that. But once you have the idea down and you understand the premise of it, there's a lot of other things you need to do. Like, for one, creating a script. What are you going to be saying? What's going to be said? An outline, even. What are we doing actually in the video to make sure that when you make the video that you're staying consistent with the idea rather than just running through with something that you're passionate about and then going off the rails, which can happen a lot. Even if you are passionate about something and you think you can do it without any sort of outline or script, it's very easy to lose yourself in your head or lose the idea that you're trying to discuss. So scripting, outline, those are two very, very big things. Location scouting, if you need a location, making sure you have the right gear for it. Do you need to rent any of the gear? These are kind of the questions that you have to ask yourself when preparing to make a YouTube video. And of course, if you're trying to be really efficient with social media these days, you need to make, or should consider making, even vertical format videos, shorts, reels, whatever you want to call them, because those can also really help increase the value that you're giving to people, but also definitely it'll heighten your engagement for sure. So also maybe even scripting out and making outlines for shorts that you could make while doing this kind of shoot. So for example, we're doing an FX3 versus iPhone shoot, and there's a lot of shorts we can make with that. One of the shorts that we'll be making, for example, is comparing the FX3's low light capabilities to the iPhone's low light capabilities, which isn't a part of the main idea for our long form video, but definitely a short that we can make that'll, again, help us with engagement and provide more value to people that are also interested in the idea. So yeah, a lot of preparation. Of course, you also have to consider post-production, the editing, the assets you might need, all the things like that. So I'd say that's about a rough idea of the kind of things that would go into making something like this. Well, we are downtown now at the Pearl. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what parking lot this is. I've never been here, but we're here. So we're here, we're getting ready. We're about to go head on straight to the Pearl and start looking around to see what kind of compositions we can go for the YouTube video. So once we find that, we'll go ahead and start shooting and mixing it up by just kind of changing spots here and there. And yeah, our second location will be the Riverwalk, which is a very quick walking distance. So once we're done with the shoot at the Pearl, we're headed straight to the Riverwalk, getting some more clips, and that'll be it for the day. Really quick, really easy, and it's only thanks to the fact that we prepared beforehand that we're able to just really efficiently get here and shoot everything that we need. So we're getting ready, and we're gonna have fun. It's gonna be great. So, once again, we're here at the Pearl now. We walked in, and before we went all the way in, it decided to stop us at this spot here. We saw the little bridge and decided to utilize that instead of having us go all the way in, looking around, and then coming all the way back. So once we found this little corner here, we went ahead and set everything down and got all the equipment ready. Right now, Lorenzo's shooting on the Sony a7 IV and getting that behind the scenes footage that we're going to be using for the YouTube video. That's also in the prep and outline, because we'll be utilizing that B-roll to help tell kind of the story and an understanding of how it looks outside of the camera. And so we went ahead and set up the iPhone and the FX3 rig here on the tripod just to make sure the shots are really, really nice and not moving. So we're all set up. Isai's mic'd up. We made sure that he's good to go. He went ahead and looked over his script just to make sure that when he starts, he'll be able to flow through that pretty easily. And once we're done with this spot, we're going to now, because it's just the intro, once the intro is done, we're going to go ahead and move on to the bridge to get our first comparison shots of the day. Afterwards, we'll be moving right on in and keeping an eye out for some nice little composition, little spots that we can use. The weather, honestly, is kind of helping because it's a very soft light, so we don't have to worry too much about it being very, very harsh, but it won't look as pretty. So, but yeah, we're all set up, we're getting ready, and we'll see you when we start moving into the first couple of comparison shots. So now we found about our third spot so far, and we wanted to get a little bit more of a darker spot. So while we're here, just as I said previously, thanks to the prep, I can also make sure that I take care of one of the shorts that we had outlined, which is testing the base ISOs of both the FX3, and then while the iPhone doesn't really, I don't know if it has bases necessarily, but maxing out the ISOs and comparing the two in this spot, while also still focusing on our YouTube video, which is what we're here for. So again, this is where the prep comes in handy. Shadow spot, we can take care of two things at once. So we are about maybe an hour and a half into our shoots, and we've done a couple shots at this point, tested out some of the different settings, trying to make sure the exposure is good and everything like that. And I've run into a bit of a problem where my iPhone storage has gotten full. We didn't bring like an SSD to film externally, which probably would have been a good idea. And I am filming ProRes. My gallery was completely empty before this. So, you know, that's I guess that's on me for not bringing that. But since the storage is full, we're gonna take a moment outside. It just started drizzling, but we're gonna take a moment kind of in the cover. I'm gonna go through all the footage that we have right now and compare it to the shot list that I prepped beforehand, just to make sure and see whether or not we need to keep on going with this kind of pace, or if we can start to mix it up and focus on the shorts instead of the long form. So I'm gonna be going through that, and yeah, we'll see where we go from here. We're getting one of our last shots for the long form video, and we ran into a bit of a problem. So I was trying to aim for maybe about a 50 mil shot, get a bit of a medium shot of Isai here sitting in the chair. However, using Cinema P3 and switching to the back triple camera, I couldn't find a way, at least not that I know of, to actually be able to keep all your settings manually. So once I switched to that triple camera setting on Cinema P3 on the iPhone, everything was pretty much forced to become auto. So definitely a bit of a downside, as I thought that it was my fault that I couldn't change it manually. But after swapping between the cameras, the camera settings, the 26, the 77, I found that it looks like that the back triple camera probably is only auto. So that's something to keep in mind when using the app, especially if you're trying to go for a very specific shot like the 50, because you don't get 50, you get 77. Let's see here, you get 77, 26, and 14. So that's what you got to work with, and that's a little bit of a hurdle that we just ran into there. So now we're back on track to getting our last shot and then moving on to focusing on the shorts. Okay, so we are basically at the tail end of our shoot now, and we're taking a seat just to kind of review the footage, just to make sure that everything is satisfactory with the iPhone comparison to the FX3, wanting to take just a moment to look at all that, because doing a comparison with the iPhone and the FX3 is really difficult because you have to tailor both to each other, which when using the FX3 it kind of sucks because the FX3 has some incredible capabilities, and so that just kind of comes down to one of the limitations that is going to be talked about in the video about how you have great things about the iPhone and also limiting things about the iPhone. So that's why we're taking a moment now, but the shoot's been going great. We had a little bit of a drizzle, but that didn't really impact our shoot. The main thing is that we avoided rain, so I'm happy about that. And yeah, we got to walk around the Pearl here. We didn't end up using our second location just because, I mean, there's plenty of spots that we can use here that are perfect. So yeah, once again, quick review. We'll see if there's anything else that needs to be done or anything that needs to be repeated. And then after that, we're off to the rest of our work day. So, yeah. Footage actually isn't as bad as I was making it out to be in my head.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually good. That's nice. I was worried about this because sometimes it's a little bit hard when you're in an environment like this to know whether or not your shot's really good without a monitor, without a little, what do you call it, like a sunroof thingy, sunbox, visor. So it's kind of hard. But looking at all the footage right now, it actually is pretty clean. So that's good news. That is good news. So let's see. This one. Shoo. This is organizing it the right way, because we gotta go home. I'm sorry, home. We gotta go to the office. Home. Gotta go to the office and organize all this stuff now, because if we don't organize it, it's all part of the process. If you don't organize everything, then you're gonna have a hard time editing and doing all the post-production. It's all the same. The efforts that you do beforehand are gonna be just the same as the efforts that you do after to make sure that everything is smooth. It's a lot of work, but the end result's always worth it when you put in that work. So that is key. Keeping that organization consistent. Yeah.
What an ugly angle.
Here, thumbnail.
FX3 versus iPhone?
Fun tip for iPhone users. A lot of time when you're using your camera, let's say your photo camera, you have three cameras or three lenses, and you have those three buttons. You know, you have 3 times zoom, you have 1 times, you have 0.5, and a lot of times, what you may not know is that if you choose to zoom at a custom zoom length, what you're basically doing is digital zooming past whatever lens focal length you're going beyond. So let's say you want to do 3.2 times zoom, you are now digital zooming beyond 3 times, which means that if you're not sticking to 0.5, 1 times, or 3 times, that's where you actually lose quality, because your lenses aren't like these on the iPhone. It doesn't do this. So beyond any of those 3 numbers is all a digital zoom. I don't think you can go any less than 0.5, but point is, try to stick to those 3 numbers if you want your iPhone to have the highest quality video you can if you're not using a cinema app.
Say it to the camera.
That's a wrap. Yeah. The shoot went great. After making sure we looked through all the footage, I felt a lot more confident in how the shots came out, because at first I was a little worried because lighting is just so weird, and without an ND filter on the FX3, you know, it's rough. I'm so used to making sure that the shots are as good as possible. So being forced to step down a little bit just to be able to compare to something that obviously isn't as I guess you could say as good, right, as the FX3, that being the iPhone, was a little unsure. But again, everything is perfect. Everything went great. The weather was kind to us because we were worried it might rain and we had to change up our locations. So everything was great. We had time to spare, to be honest. But that's good because we can comfortably take care of our errands before we head back to the office. So I'm happy with it, and it was a great time.